Welcome back to Street Level Marketing with your host, Mark Lamplugh, and I'm here with Maxwell Pollock, and we're talking about content and, how to make that content work at your company or your business or your service or, whatever you do, you need it for. The last segment here, I wanted to talk about adapting and innovating in a competitive landscape. I mean, with digital and all companies being online, I mean, it's competitive out there and a lot of businesses fail, so getting the messaging correct and, and sticking to that structure, is going to make you successful. How do you keep content fresh when competitors are targeting the same audience?
Going back to an earlier question, good content starts with pain. So one way you could do it, and I've done this a couple times, is go to your competitors' reviews, look at the weak points, and start messaging the opposite about your brand, right? So if the weak point is terrible customer service, I can't get a hold of anybody, start messaging around 24/7 white glove service whenever you need us, right? Like that sort of tactic will help you stand out from competitors, because chances are the customer is probably right about that. There are probably some problems at that company, and if you can opportunize on those issues and kind of position your brand as the foil to those issues, you might get some attention from your customers, because they'll say, hey, I haven't heard about this brand before, but maybe they're a little bit different, right? And then get specific, right? Like I said, 24/7, right? If you actually offer 24/7 customer service, say it. Like, don't say the best customer service in Philadelphia, right? No, say like 24/7 service, friendly, ready when you need us, right? Like really simple conversational language, but also be very specific with that messaging.
What's the most innovative campaign you worked on or have you seen recently?
Without getting too deep into the details, there is this campaign that is something I've never really done, which is advertising for a brand that has 5 sub-brands. So different audiences, same general industry, but different audiences, different segments of that industry. So they all have different challenges, right? Different pain points, etc. But they all have things in common as well. So that's been interesting and challenging, and I think that's why I like it, because it's sort of like playing 3D chess, right? Number one, you have the bandwidth issue, which is how the heck am I going to make content for 5 brands, right? And the parent brand, so 6 brands. The next issue is how am I going to make content and, obviously not lose my hair, but it's like, how am I going to make content for these brands, but also make it effective and make it high quality, right? Like how is it actually going to deliver? I can't just make content without results on the other end of that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. And then the third thing is, how do you advertise for all of this, right? Like, how do you segment your audiences? Where do you find those audience members and information? Is another key part. And also, where are they living? Where are they discussing their challenges? So we can understand that better. So that's what I think is really cool about it. AI has been a big help, which is also making it a very innovative initiative. AI is here to stay. I'm a big AI fan now. I think at first I was like a little bit of an eyebrow raiser when it came to AI, because I've seen solutions come and go. And then, probably like midway 2023, I was like, all right, this is here to stay. And it's helped a lot with streamlining workflows. It's helped with just getting ideas flowing sometimes. Like if you're just hitting a wall and you're like, you know what, let's see what chat says about it. Maybe it'll spur on some other ideas here. And it can also be a good sort of devil's advocate. You can feed it a piece of content and say, like, what's wrong with this piece of content for this audience?
Yeah, I'm with you there with the AI. I use it every day. Yeah. I think one of the struggles I've had with it recently is there's so many new tools coming out. Yeah. You start using one and then 2 days later you're getting ads for all these new ones and you want to try those, and you end up in a pigeonhole going all over the place.
And buyer beware with that stuff. I think I actually happen to do content work for an AI developer, And I learned a lot about AI while I was there. And most of these solutions are using the same core technology. So you're not going to really get that much of a big difference between them. That's why I like ChatGPT, honestly. It's like, it's OpenAI. It's very transparent about it being OpenAI. I know what it is, and it's very flexible and intuitive.
Yeah. How do you pivot your messaging when a campaign isn't hitting the mark?
Honestly, get rid of it. If it's not landing, what is it doing for you? Get rid of it. Move on to the next thing. If it's not hitting the mark, I mean, maybe you could look at the messaging. Okay, maybe you could use like a small tweak here, run that ad again and see if it changes anything. It probably won't. It's probably just discussing a challenge that's not highly relevant right now, or it's not connecting the dots between the challenge and your product, or the challenge and what you're trying to offer. I've been guilty of this before. Trying to squeeze too many things into an ad. That's usually the biggest killer of any sort of ad campaign is how many things can we squeeze into this? Let's put a big number, a big statistic here, and then let's ask them to download a guide. It's like, you drew them in with this statistic. That's great. Like, just say, learn more about how we solve this, right? They want to solve that problem. They don't want to read more about their problem. Like, they want to solve it at that point. So, they're different messages that will work with different people, of course. But in general, you can look across ads and be like, hey, this one had 20 conversions yesterday. This one had nothing. Let's let them run for another week, see how they're doing. If this one's still, underperforming, let's axe it. Let's stop it. Let's create a new one.
Yeah. How do you inspire a team to think outside the box for content and reputation wins?
I think the biggest, before that happens, you need to have the right people on your team. So that's where recruitment and talent becomes so indispensable. Like, if you have a bunch of order takers on your team who are just sitting there waiting for you to give them directive, you're screwed. They're not going to think outside of the box. They're going to collect their paycheck. They're going to make a cool piece of content and then just set it and forget it until you ask them to do something else, right? And they might be good. They might be very talented. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes you just need someone to like write a piece of content or write a landing page or write an email sequence, or whatever it might be. But more often than not, the type of people you want in your team are the ones who are going to think outside of the box, and those are self-starters. So prioritizing self-starters in your recruitment process and asking pointed questions during the recruitment process and asking for specifics is a great way to do that. And if you see those red flags of someone who's just not a motivated person, probably don't hire them. The other thing, so that's number one, right? It starts with the talent and the recruitment. Number two is to schedule time for creativity. It's really easy to get caught into the humdrum of the day and just start cranking out content, working on tasks, getting things done. And we all like to get things done, and you need to get things done on time. But you also need time to think outside of the box. If your day is so cluttered and overscheduled where you don't have time to think out of the box, that's a problem. And there needs to be better project management and time management. So setting those allocated time blocks for, hey, as a team, we're going to meet. Like with my team, I have a monthly social media meeting where it's like first Thursday of the month, an hour. We just bring to the table a few ideas that we saw out in the wild from competitors or even from outside of the industry, right? It can be from a totally different industry. It doesn't matter. Just anything we saw that really caught our eye and we thought that's brilliant. Like, so bring at least one of those to the meeting and see if we can incorporate it into our social media strategy.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to make sure I give you time, to tell the viewers, how to get a hold of you. And I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
we learned a lot in this episode. So, how can the viewers get a hold of you?
Yeah. Hop onto my website. It's maxwellcpollock.com, spelled just like my name, maxwellcpollock.com, and hit me up. Press that contact button, and we'll link. I like making new friends.
Well, like I said, thanks for coming on the show. We got through a lot of information here, and I think people can pick up a lot we'll make sure we put the show up on the screen so, viewers see it.
Cool.
The viewers, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Join us next week for another episode of Street Level Marketing.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.